Okay, looks like we're live. How's it going, everybody? I apologize about not coming back last night. We, well, one, the wife ended up making some late night BLTs, and then by the time we were done with that, I was kind of beyond done with the day for, computers or gaming or any of that stuff. So I talk an awful lot about it, but here we are today in the Avro RJ sporting the wrong livery. I originally loaded in at a airport that served an oil field in northern Canada because this is a route that this aircraft takes even today, and we were going to fly into Edmonton. For some reason, I couldn't get the yaw damper to turn on, and when the yaw damper doesn't work in this aircraft, the autopilot doesn't work, and I really don't know how much fun it is for everybody to sit there and watch me and cruise, and I would have hand flew it, but at least with autopilot we can enable the time acceleration. I guess this will also kind of serve as tutorial too. This is the Avro RJ. It is the successor to the BAE 146. Now, I believe this aircraft made its first flight in 1983, and the BAE was still in service at that time. Right before the 1980s, though, BAE, or British Aerospace, the same people who made the Concorde, also made the BAE 146. There was a restructuring, and part of the company was sold, and thus the Avro was born. This was always going to be the successor to the BAE 146, which is also available in Microsoft Flight Simulator. It's a four-engine aircraft, but it's a regional jet, and it actually cost just as much to operate as a 737 Classic. So while there is a handful of them still in service, they were quickly phased out for the 737 and the A310. I'm sorry, was it the A310? It may have been the A310. I don't think it was the A300 because that was much larger. But yeah, so that's how we ended up with these falling out of favor so quickly. It's powered by uh, four Lycoming turbofan engines, which these Lycoming engines are also the same that are featured in the CH-47 Chinook, and a variant of this engine exists as an APU that's now manufactured by Honeywell. So some people say this plane comes with 5 APUs because despite this jet being this small, it did come with an APU because keep in mind it was really meant to service those really small airports all around Europe and some of the smaller regional airports here in the U.S. that may not have ground power. Anyway, let's get started. That's our brief and hopefully accurate history of the Avro RJ. This is the 100 variant. I believe it holds, we'll find out now, I think it holds 129 people if I remember correctly. 113 people. Alright, so let's first off, let's make it daytime just because it is live stream o'clock. I picked some place with some bad weather because this is also another fun jet to get lost in. So yeah, let's get started. We'll use how do we want to start? We'll start with fuel, and for all intents and purposes, this EFB works the same way as pretty much the 70% of Just Flight's aircraft. Some of their military stuff has additional options because military planes have different features, but most of their commuter stuff looks like this. So I'll give you a quick overview. You do have the ability to import your SimBrief stuff. You'll see that it pulled in a flight plan from somewhere. This was definitely done for a. Let's see. Oh wow, yeah, this was when I was messing around with the Phoenix the IE. I had never messed with the IAE version of the Phoenix, so this was the last route I did there. It is important to know, though, when you import your SimBrief plan that to the EFB, it does not come down to the FMS over here. Now, you can use the SimBrief downloader and download the plain text files, and then they can be loaded this way. I don't have that set up right now. I really should. I do have it set up in 24, if I remember correctly. Let's see. Why does it keep disappearing? Do I have SimBrief downloader here? Maybe not. Okay. Maybe it's on my other PC. Anyway, that is an option. So let's get to it. You know, this jet is a little more advanced to start than the Fokker, but still, it's very straightforward. And we do now have an IRS system on this. So let's get started. We'll come up here and we'll get that APU started. So, once again, this is a I guess we'll call this a 6-panel aircraft because, you have, this is going to be most of your avionics controls. You have your flight guidance computer that can be programmed to fail. You can switch between 1 and 2. There is some power management stuff here that you, for your ground ignition and stuff. You leave this on both. Brake fans to auto, anti-skid. Now, this would normally be turned on way later in the flow, but we're going to just get her up in the air and get a quick but simple flight plan in. Alright, so go ahead and turn on the PTU, and then we need to turn on the fuel pump so we don't stall out the APU. Should probably be talking while I do this. Let's go ahead and turn these on now. So, so far we've gone over how to start the avionics, and we've worked through hydraulic. We'll have AC pump, PTU, engines, that's on or off. I'm sorry, PTU, we'll have it on. DC pump, we don't have to worry about. And then this you could leave in auto. Before we take off, we'll turn off the PTU. Center tank transfer, yes. And we want to get ice protection turned on. We can get the air conditioner going, make it a little warmer in here. Let's see. Yep. Alright. So now we are going to move down to the FMS and put in our flight plan because we need to initialize the IRS system. So we're going to do Shift +5. That'll bring us down here. We'll go ahead and blast the ground crew with the weather radar. So we're going to go to FMC and index. We're going to do position. You can put your reference airport in here, or you could just pull the current GPS position. We'll copy that, paste it here. It's just click, click, and then we go to route. This is very simple. We're going to have our destination, or our origin and destination here. So we are taking off from Chicago O'Hare. And it wants us to use runway 28. Then we're going into KDCA. Fun airspace here. I love it. Maybe we can even do the river visuals and see where we're coming from. Wait, right. Back to the init page. we're gonna do 0 fuel weight is gonna be over here. So we want
boarding is complete.
all right. So 0 fuel weight is 37.0. 37.0. Alright. And then for reserves, this is obviously what you want to have left behind. In Flight Simulator, it is not so important, so you could just do 1.0 if you're worried about getting a calculation error. And then plan fuel, this is a little misleading because this is, in other aircraft, this could be how much you're going to burn over the course of your route. This is going to be what we estimate to use on the ground for like your block fuel, essentially. I just will do 1.0 for that. This won't really matter. Avro RJ, cruise altitude. Now, it does have a service ceiling of 32,000 feet, but it has no performance at that altitude. So, this aircraft was commonly flown. Your cruise time was anywhere from 30 minutes to 2 hours tops in an aircraft like this. So, it didn't go that high either. So it was basically like this flew the routes that are like serviced by like ATRs today. So you're really going to be below 35,000 feet in all your ops, and usually below 35 or below 25,000 feet too. So we'll bring it up to 25,000 feet because I've got a lot of experience with this aircraft now, and that seems where you can still have enough performance and a desirable amount of fuel efficiency. Our cruise winds are going to be, it's going to be, I think it's, what was it, 033 slash 019, I think it was. And then for our temperature, we can look over here. We're at 10 Celsius. So you can just put the number 10 here. This is the top of climb out of air temperature. This is an estimation. Transitional or North America, 18,000 feet. Alright, cool. So now, we'll do our arrival. Let's see, we were coming into 19. So we'll do change procedure. Alright. Oh, that's right. The Freedom 6. Coming in over the... Alright, bucko. Our ILS is going to be... Let's see real quick. Do 19. Okay, cool. That is. Hopefully the weather's good enough. Let's do this. Alright. Let's run it. Via cruise, right? Cruise. Okay, cool. So, SIDS and stars are on the departure and arrival page. This is going to be much similar to these. This FMS is like the precursor to the units that were used in not the 737 Classic, but the ones before that. You guys get the idea. Sorry, I'm not 100% with it today, so we are good to go. Let's go to legs, and now we can get started. It is very important to program your FMC or your IRS, your inertial reference system, is never going to align. you'll see that it says we got 640 seconds. Now, if you go right-click up, nav, and then back here, watch this. Now we have 30 seconds. Same thing here. Boom, nav, down, up, nav. There we go. 30 seconds. And we're ready to go. We can go ahead and start our engines. Like I said, this is not by the books. This is just for getting her up and going. And once you get comfortable there, you'll feel a lot more eager to learn more about how this aircraft works and how it was operated. There is still this aircraft has a notable distinction of serving on every continent and still flies active routes to the Arctic or to Antarctica. All right, cool. So let's get started. So we're gonna do master start on. I usually start with engine 1 just so I don't have to move the camera to the center pedestal. So we're gonna go there. We'll go to start, and it's got some of the best startup sounds of any aircraft. I just love it. You get the flicker and everything. It's. I wish they would do that on some of the Boeing products, because even when you're attached to ground power, I was on a jump seat flight the other day, and they were hooked. I was on a 777. And they were attached to ground power, 2 ground power units, and they started the APU also. And even when starting the engine, there was still a noticeable flicker in the cabin and in like the lighting and stuff, all like the unfiltered electrical sources. I don't know if Airbus just has everything on a filtered electric source or its power management system is different, but it's nowhere near as pronounced as it is on Boeing. And I love it. I love it. I just like that kind of mechanical stuff. One of my favorite things in the Airbus is when when you first turn on the batteries, especially when you're on ground power and you hear those contactors go thump, thump. It's great. It sends chills down my spine. So here, once we're at roughly, we go by N2 on this. When our N2 is above 18, then we can start it by introducing fuel here. It is very important also that you have your fuel pumps on, because these engines in real life have a fuel pump on each unit, but it's mechanically driven, so the electric fuel pumps have to supply fuel to the starter. And another unique thing about this too is it doesn't need bleed air to start, because there's starter motors inside the turbine. I mean, these are helicopter engines after all. So let's go to number 2. We got navigation now. Let's good start on number 2. Perfect. Ignition should be out. And you can move on while that one's still spooling up. Just make sure that your ignition has extinguished. Get that going now. Now, it will use bleed air to start the engine if it's available. But you can also do, and if you want to start without an APU, you can do external DC and it'll use just the motor. Alright, so we got a good kickoff there. Chocks. And this is, of course, a just flight aircraft, so we know the sounds are going to be phenomenal. Let's get number 1 going. Now we can go ahead and turn on these hydraulic pumps, turn the PTU off. Now, this aircraft does have timed and triggerable failures now. You can't, like, abuse it and have a failure. Not quite yet. And I think it does have a randomized failure system. And we're ready to light off on number 4. Pretty sure we need to go this way. I hope we're going the right way. Oh, perfect. Yep, we need to be right here. So now it's very important we get this off so we can also have our generators going. So, from takeoff to 10,000 feet, these engines don't have enough power to provide bleed air and acceptable performance at the same time. So APU and engine bleed air stays off until 10,000. And this aircraft will get you very good at remembering your above 10,000 checklists. You know, always verify the pressure's working. Always verify, you know, the lights are configured the way, however they need to be for your region. And, you know, because in the U.S. you would be turning off your, you know, your landing lights at 10,000 feet. So we get our flight director turned on. We'll go ahead and arm the auto throttle. And then there's 2 important click spots to note here.
Departure.
So our Boeing people are seething right now, but here's our heading select. All right, and then here is the this is the toga button. This will allow us to use the auto throttle on takeoff. Otherwise, the actual buttons, you'll see there's a click spot here in front of engines 2 and 3. And then real quick, let's just do a little bit more explaining right here. So this aircraft has a MFD, a multifunction display. It's very basic, but it's there nonetheless. Here you can choose whether you want to use the rows, the arc. Here's your map, and then your plan, and you can cycle through. How do you cycle through? I can't remember how to cycle through the airports or through the waypoints. I'll remember in a second. And then this here will show, for example, if you're doing like a VOR approach, but like you're going to be coming off the magenta or GPS onto the VOR approach, you can tune your VOR like so. Let's get a VOR tune real quick. Frequency set, and then let's make sure the VOR is actually turned on. I always forget to do that. And then you'll see if we go to the ARC page or we go to the rows page, we can switch to the VOR and adjust the course right here. Go back to LNAV. Now this will not affect what the autopilot follows. It'll just affect what the MFD is showing you for nav information. We got that, ready to go. And tear that. VOR. Oh, and this is your bearing pointer. This will stay pointed to, you know, an ADF, your GPS or VOR here. So you can have both up at the same time. Like you could track your GPS primary, VOR secondary here, or you could do, you know, VOR primary and GPS secondary here, which is under the waypoint designation. So we are just zoomed way in right now. I'm trying to figure out why. There we go. We want arc. And we want map. That's what I usually keep it on for departure, just as that or rows. I find the arc a little bit just more familiar since I'm, you know, usually flying an Airbus. All right, cool. Let's get rolling. And once again, there's a handy dandy chart right here. We have quite a lot of room, so we will use let's do the flaps 18. I don't think I've ever done a flaps 18 takeoff here. And now our bugs are programmed, and we will be going 10,000 feet before we engage the autopilots. We should be good to go. Perfect. I do have a Canadian regional airline livery on this because I was originally going to do some like remote ops in Canada for this aircraft to show off like its short field performance and stuff, but for some reason I could not for the life of me get, there's a yaw damper warning that shows up right here, and for some reason I could not get
wind shear, wind shear, wind shear.
There we go. That startled me, I'm not gonna lie. There's definitely Alright. So let's pull up the legs page here. FMC, legs. Surprised it didn't drop a discontinuity in there. And are we taking off from the wrong runway? Wasn't it 9? If I remember correctly? Or is that... No? Okay, alright. Something wrong. I wonder how the performance is going to be. This aircraft is a little bit heavier on FPS than the Fokker, but not quite Phoenix levels. This is actually, pretty good performance, but the Fokker will spoil you. I mean, that airplane will do 80 FPS on the ground. Okay, so here we go. There's, like I said, there's 2 click spots here. Now, if you want to just watch down here, and then before I click there, there's a heading sync bug between these 2 screws. You click it, and now we're lined up with runway heading, basically. We're a little to the left of the runway, actually. Here we go. And then right here is the toga button. This can also be achieved by clicking right here, and that'll automatically move the throttles forward. And here we go.
Thrust set. Airspeed alive.
I was gonna say I forgot to set the trim, but I forgot this aircraft will trim itself for takeoff, depending on the takeoff performance information. I actually don't know how to calculate how much trim is needed on this. I tried to find some type of online.
Cool.
Wow, it
Rotate.
says we're going directly into the wind, but there is like, it's pushing me to the left like crazy.
0 selected.
I love the call outs. So it looks like we're gonna be I wonder why performance is so heavy here in Chicago. Oh, you know what? We're right. I know why. I have. No, this is 24. Never mind. I actually don't know why the performance is kind of heavy right now. Sounds are just so good. I will get into more of it in cruise. We did a full toga takeoff, but you can do a flex takeoff by programming it here, and I should have covered that, honestly. Once you are... So, these do have FADEX. This is some of the earliest aircrafts with FADEX, which stands for Full Authority Digital Engine Control. And we're going to go ahead and click this thrust button, and it switches us to regular climbing thrust. It'll save us some engine on the climb out. And we really need to get completely turned around. We need to face 90 degrees, basically. It's funny how off course from the runway we got pushed already. I wonder if I'm just bad at Flight Simulator, or if they changed the way the crosswind works. But I don't know. I feel like lately I've been getting pushed, you know, in the direction of... Now it behaves correctly for a crosswind, but like, for example, just now we were coming off the runway and getting pushed to the left at the same time. Almost went over 20 degrees of nose up bank there. Alright, so this is the direct option is a little bit different here. You're going to always feed purple. So, for example, if we wanted to go to Krug right here, we would click that, it would pop up here, and then we would feed it to purple, right? To make sure we actually keep climbing, for one. So we'll go bucko, bucko, execute. Now, our flight director should fix itself. Not that much speed. And at 10,000 feet, I'll go over the flight computer, and, I'm sorry, the engine management. One thing I appreciate about this aircraft is it'll give you air speed readings on the ground, which I don't know how realistic that is for this aircraft, but it's nice in Flight Simulator where you have like inaccurate weather reports and sometimes zero frame of reference for where the wind is blowing from. And just like all other Just Flight aircraft, this thing is incredibly composed. Yeah, something about the Chicago area in 24. I have on my other computers a little bit faster than this one, and it really struggles in the Chicago area too. So for my wife is from Schiller Park. If the weather was better, we would fly over. And look at these clouds, though. Now we're almost at 10,000 feet. Sounds are just so good on this aircraft. I'm wearing headphones today, and I'm like, why don't I do this all the time? And it's funny because as a commercial pilot, you waste so much money on these things like noise suppressing headphones and earplugs and just all these things to try and drown out the noise. And I just learned today, too, that there is a underlying shame, or I guess implying lack of skill for it's so nice. So, I might need to upgrade my monitor soon. I was rewatching one of my live stream in the Kodiak yesterday, and I couldn't help but notice that around the edges of these clouds, I see on my monitor like a weird artifacting, and I would always just assume that was part of flight sim and never thought much about it. It's my monitor. It doesn't show up in the video. Played it on my other computer today for a little bit. Doesn't show up on that monitor. And this panel is an OLED panel. It's just, honestly, it's not that good for an OLED. It's like a no-name. I bought it off my buddy who bought it from a tech market in Taiwan or mainland China. I don't remember. Let's climb to 18,000 feet. So now we're going to do our above 10,000 checklist. We're going to turn, obviously, our lights off. We're going to go ahead and we'll let them move about. And then now we turn our engine bleed air on, turn our APU off, and now we can start climbing. Since people are up and moving around, start it. We'll let it settle in at 800 feet per minute, and then we'll switch over to level change mode, and hopefully we won't rock it. Forgot to put the TCAS in, and it doesn't matter, but this is how you would, if you were on network or you just like to run a code, you would, your transponder code, you can put it there. And I always do the last transponder code I had in real life, which was 6177. That one will change when I go back to work in April. It's a great plane, though. I highly recommend it. It is a good balance of new and old.
Traffic.
It does not have... I didn't see anything on TCAS, but I also don't see any usernames, so... I think there is a TCAS bug with the two Just Flight aircraft right now, because they do that sometimes. Something keeps popping up like right below me here, and there was nothing there. It's kind of funny as I was flying this back in 2020 before 24 came out, and when you turn on time acceleration, the same thing would happen. And so I was ignoring it one day, not realizing I didn't have the time acceleration on. And lo and behold, I switched my camera to get a screenshot, and there was a guy in a F-22 that was being substituted for a Bonanza below me at like 4 million degrees angle of attack, trying to slow down or trying to maintain level flight at such a low speed. I'm upset I couldn't get this one to work in Canada. I don't know if there's maybe there's something simulated with the soft terrain or something like that, but it would just not engage the yaw damper, and it would not engage autopilot because of that. And I checked to see if there was triggered failures or not, because you can get this thing to stop, and there's no reverse thrust either. You can get this thing to stop in as little as like 2,800 feet. Probably should have told some people that I was going to go live. So I don't know what to talk about right now. Usually at this point I'm going, I know what to talk about. Let's talk about the engine, the flex system. Alright, here we go. So right here is the engine, like the FADEC control. This is where you would flex. So it's going to be your N1. This shows your current N1 readout and N1 limit. You would also put your V speeds in here too. So temperature is always going to be in Celsius on this aircraft. It can be retrieved from right here. You don't always have to run a flex, but you know, in real life, in most airlines, you know, they run flex when they can to save on engine, because going full toga for every takeoff is not good for the engine. And some companies actually link their warranties to how often you're hitting toga on it, which I think is kind of crazy. It should definitely be covered under warranty. You know, if it can't handle toga, maybe you need to not rate the engine so high and derate it a little bit. Then your V speeds are going to be right here. That's V1, VFTO, and V2. So. And then also, since this plane is capable of, or was designed with like small airports and tight spaces and weird terrain in mind, for your most landings, believe it or not, are going to be flaps 24, which can be selected here. If you don't do this, it'll give you the too low flaps, even if you're on the glide slope. And then you have the steep approach function, which, oh no, that's flap override. Steep approach is right here. Steep approach mode will allow you to, sort of, it will make the GPWS system not as aggressive in its warning. So I don't remember the exact parameters, so what I'm about to say is just strictly for theory. Let's say that the formula for triggering the GPWS alarm is altitude divided by feet per minute, or I'm sorry, not divided by it. If feet per minute is greater than the total altitude you have, so if you're doing, you know, 3,000 foot per minute descent and you have 2,000 feet of altitude, most aircraft are going to panic and be like, whoa, what are you doing? This is you know, you're going to hit the ground. You have faster vertical speed, or more vertical speed than you do altitude left. So this will lower those tolerances. So it will still go off if you do something really crazy, but it'll be much more forgiving. It'll, you know, if you're doing less than, I notice it doesn't really go off if you're at like 2,500 feet per minute or less of vertical speed. It doesn't trigger the warning until you're in that descent for a longer period of time. I hope that makes sense. There's a part of me that's, you know, I like not having anyone here for purposes of a tutorial, but I'm also, you know, I not, this is being recorded live just for simplicity's sake. Actually, but anyway, before I switch subjects, this is being recorded live, so, you know, I won't have the opportunity to edit out the cruise, and nor do I think I should in a tutorial, because I don't want to miss anything that I would normally do. still here, if you're watching through this. We're gonna descend a little bit early. Once we get to around 120 miles out, I'm gonna drop down to about 16,000 feet to burn a little more fuel. Actually, I'll probably do that. Let's do 16,000. We'll just go slow. Flight Simulator, it is absolutely insane how far it's gone. I mean, I haven't been a professional pilot for a super long time yet, but I still at work use level D simulators that don't have anywhere near as good as graphics, and I have used ones that run X-Plane. Not sure, I haven't seen something with X-Plane 12 level of graphics yet, and I don't know if that's because does it not exist. I've also never used the full motion simulator with have not used the full motion simulator with X-Plane. It's always something. I'm actually not sure what it runs. I've even asked like the instructor before, and he doesn't know. Sometimes I learned about X-Plane from a maintenance guy who I was talking to waiting for my turn, like a maintenance guy for the actual machine itself, and the computer that was running the sim, or I don't know if it was just running like the game itself, or the computer itself was actually kind of sparse. It was even by whatever, it was Core 2 quad era hardware, and it had a weird multi-GPU setup. Oh, we got some ice. We got some ice. We got some ice. It's funny how much trouble it has slowing down. This aircraft is like, it is very modern by most of the stuff I like to fly in the sim standards, but it's old enough to where you could see like even like some of the limited autopilot functionality. This aircraft never in its life got proper VNAV. It does have advisory VNAV. It'll give you a vertical profile, which I don't know how to do on this, and I'm not sure if it's possible, but even the equipment in these types of aircraft weren't consistent. Some of them had, if I remember correctly, like some of them were like glass on one side, analog on the other. There was also like a different panel available. It does have a VNAV button, should it had ever been adopted in this aircraft, but at that rate, it also has an MLS button, which is microwave landing system, and that was a kind of one and done technology. It came out, got installed at a few major airports, but for whatever reason, it wasn't widely adopted. And one of the airports in Vietnam that I want had a relics of an MLS system. It has like a big square antenna. I just realized my microphone was facing the wrong way. I heard the altitude horn go off a second time, and it's from my phone. Oh, speaking of live viewers, Tim, I don't know if you're still here or not. It says I only have 2 people. But what's up, man? I didn't see your message. I didn't expect anybody to join, to be fair. So the last few videos I've done, I've prompted, didn't really get any viewers on YouTube. But it's not going to stop me. That's for sure. I enjoy making them. It gives me something to do. I mean, I hope it kicks off into something great, so we can, you know, so I can like teach people some stuff, which would be cool. Go. Ooh, we're stuttering right now. You know, not for nothing, I don't know if I've ever let an autopilot help me with the approach into DCA before. I used to love flying into this IFR with the BAE 146. I should do that one next. Doesn't work that well on 24, but it does. You know, it's very mature on 2020, and I have 2020 also. It's funny, it is getting some views, Tim, you're right. It's funny that because the chart is very misleading on the YouTube control panel. It'll have like this massive spike, but like the gradient is like 0 to 1. You're like, oh, well, I guess it's not as big as I thought. Alright. Y'all gotta buckle up soon as we get ready for our descent. Let's turn it back downwards 2 times. I like that there's an indicator too. Oh, the river's below us. We're still way too low. I want to get some of this fuel out so we can stop shorter. Oh, it hasn't taken over yet. Lead pressure for a little longer. I mean, this aircraft for some reason is so sensitive to lead pressure that if you have imbalance, like if you were to turn 2 on the right and 2 leave the other 2 off, it does eventually induce a crab in the aircraft, which I find pretty cool. Oh Lord. I have somebody sending me, why does Japanese women refuse to get married? Let's see. Alright, let's see where we are at. Let's see what's flexible. Maybe I descended a little bit too early. To burn more fuel off, but it seems like it's kind of a... I guess we could stay here and go faster. And I sure am tired today. I'm not. I don't know why exactly.
Kilo Foxtrot Romeo Romeo Automated Weather Observation 0300 Zulu. Wind 220 at 4. Visibility 10. Sky condition.
Oh, somebody's here. How's it going? We are flying the Avro RJ by Just Flight. Right now, we are cruising along here, trying to burn off a little extra fuel for our landing. Cool that more and more people are finally stopping by. I guess, yeah, I mean, I figured if you stay consistent with it, that, you know, that's how, believe it or not, my son has a little YouTube channel. He's got quite a few subscribers now. He just keeps uploading, keeps uploading. Well, Tim, that just depends on how far this actually goes. You know, if it turns into something where it turns into like a, you know, where we have like 200, 300 viewers on a live stream. You know, I've been looking on how to do like picture in picture and that kind of stuff. So, you know, I would like to kind of, you know, run with some of the ideas that I've seen. We can watch in-flight videos and cruise. We can do, or we can reenact procedures like, you know, we could pull up charts and fly the chart exactly how it should show up. The charts in the game show where the plane is. And sometimes it's orientated the wrong way. I would imagine because, you know, I actually don't know, to be fair. I will say that really the only what made honestly the most dramatic improvement was definitely running with the any type of X3D CPU. It's it's a must for a flight simulator now. Like well, I wouldn't say it's a must. I would say it depends on how hardcore you're gonna go. If it's gonna be your main game, yeah, absolutely, it's definitely worth having an X3D CPU and like literally any video card that has 12 gigs or more. Like an RX 6800 is perfect for this game. You know, it has the home field advantage of being an AMD card, and it also has the yeah, exactly. So there's that too. We gotta start descending now. La 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 la. Here we go. Get the cruise. la la, get cool sunshine. I have that Gorillaz song stuck in my head. I knew I shouldn't have went back up. I should have listened to you. Well, I was hoping to get it down to like 1,800 pounds of fuel total, and then stop it in like 1,000 feet. This thing has got some of the most impressive brakes. Even watching videos of them land, it is impressive how quickly one of these things can stop. Alright, we gotta see real quick. I know what we need to do. 1x. We need to get lower than this. Oh, it's gonna drop me off in the wrong spot. Oopsie. Alright. Let's see what it's doing now. It's bringing me to the river. How low do I need to be? It's 8,000, 8,000, 8,000. What are we at? 600. Yeah, but I would say besides the X3D processor, the next biggest thing was RAM timing. RAM timing. Because, you know, I would say that this definitely only applies to, like, Ryzen CPUs, but, you know, this, somebody, I mean, I'm sure somebody can provide a much more thorough explanation of what's going on, but, yeah, when there's a cache miss, the performance penalty is nuts. So 109.9 at 149, 109.9. Let's get down, down, down. I love the air brakes on this thing. It's so powerful. There's the river. In 2020, I remember it was I found it always a little more difficult to follow the river than in 24. Well, not necessarily difficult, just didn't hit the same. I don't know if you understand what that means. What is it?
Stabilizer alive.
Alright, river visual, here we go.
Speed checked. Gear down.
Ooh, we got us a crosswind today. How much you want to bet I messed this up? It's pretty cool how in real life the controls or the towers or towers, the bridges are the bridges are the waypoints. Well, they're some of the waypoints. Technically, yes, we would be violating, because we're too far to the left. I think, wait, there's the White House. That's the White House helipad right there, so maybe, I mean, we would definitely be told to go around, that's for sure.
Speed checked. Flaps 33.
No, we're not going there. We're gonna kind of hook around. You'll see. We need to get a little lower by the time. Oh wait, no, we're fine. I thought we were at 23 now. Let's double check. Get that barrow key. That's so convenient. And that's the White House over to the left where those helipads are.
$1,000.
Captain 260 flight.
Well, if you were to follow the guide markers, you know, that's a good question. I don't know how you would do. I mean, you probably couldn't, because of how busy it would be. But oh, we're right on the money right now. Yeah, I turned the auto throttle off. It's easier for me to just kind of bring it on in by hand. There we go. Yeah, it's America's Kai Tak, isn't it? We should do that.
500.
make sure we
Minimums.
have some more power because we're low. And we're golden, baby, again. The wind is very windy today.
100.
Air brakes out.
50. 40. 30. 20. 10.
Ground idle. Spoilers, yellow and green.
Woo! It was just itching to fly. Now, there is the biggest difference, especially in
pressure
the flight model that I see between the two between like
60
the
knots.
EAE and this one, is this one definitely is a lot more eager to get off the ground. Yeah, Avro RJ. This is the 100 variant in the lovely North Caribou Air livery, which would never service, Ronald Reagan. This is too far south. And I don't know I wonder if the Avro RJ ever did service this airport. It would make sense. It definitely would have complied with the noise and stuff that requirements around the airport at the time. The glider up here. Cool. Well, we made it, guys. We're here, safe and sound. I don't know what I'm gonna do next. I don't know if I'm gonna live stream or. One thing I'm gonna do is restart this PC because it's not giving me its best performance today. So, as always, I appreciate you guys stopping by. I appreciate if you would subscribe, like, comment, have any requests, feel free to drop them in the video. I'm going to be upping my production quality soon. I did get a better microphone, so I'm not using this orb from... I've had this for a long time. I actually used it for a job a long time ago. And, yeah. I'll do whatever. You guys know I am an A320 pilot in real life. And, if you guys want to play around in that, I know that's like one of the most popular airliners in Microsoft Flight Simulator right now, and probably X-Plane. That's all I see on Reddit and on the forum is A320 stuff. That's right, yeah, A320 Simulator. So this is the Avro RJ, guys, and I'll run through the shutdown real quick. It's very easy. It's just 4, 3, 2, 1, and that's it. Our APU is already on because we got to turn it on below 10,000 feet, and we'll let the people off. All right, y'all. Have a